up, RotoGrinders? Welcome to the People's Show. All rise, 2 hours nonstop conversation. MLB DFS taking you straight up the lock tonight. We're a couple minutes late. Our apologies. We were just discussing lineups that were coming out as we were jumping on the show. And no Yordan Alvarez today for Houston. The Cubs lineup looks pretty rough. No Christopher Morel. Tauchman got hurt yesterday as well. Some weather in that game we'll talk about. Wind, more like wind. Another wind day for Wrigley. We'll discuss. Speaking of weather, one of the most popular pitchers on the slate, got to keep an eye on this one as well. Kevin Roth is telling us that Minnesota is orange. Orange is concerning. I will go ahead and drop this link in chat for y'all to read at your own leisure. Roth will be on in about an hour and 15 minutes for crunch time, and he'll give you an update. And I'm being told the Dodgers lineup is fugly, according to the chat. Well, there's no bets. What else is goofy with the Dodgers lineup? Did we miss something else?
I was gonna say it seems pretty standard to me. It just looks
bad without bets and no Muncy, obviously. Yeah. And then Vargas is competent. Chris Taylor is terrible. Yeah, I mean Enrique Kike Hernandez is in there, and we know the deal with the Dodgers. The front half's really good. The back half's pretty rough. No Hayward against the lefty. That's not surprising, but. The voice y'all heard, you guys, you're probably watching the video as well. It's Tim. It's Tasteful Tides. What's up, Tim? Happy Tuesday. We got a 10 gamer to break down the next hour and 15 minutes. They'll yield to crunch time. How are things in Tim's world?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Dean. It's pretty hot up here in Maine, getting up into the 90s, which is pretty much unheard of this time of year or any time of year in Maine. So yeah, we are in a heat wave currently, much like most of the country.
You got like a AA or a AAA affiliate that I should bet the over on, the Maine Lobsters or something? What are you guys called up there? There's got to be a baseball team in Maine, right?
Portland Sea Dogs.
Oh yeah, was that the Marlins once upon a time? I think it was a Marlins affiliate.
I believe they were. Now they're Boston, but I believe originally they were the Marlins.
Made a lot of sense. The Marlins had their affiliate all the way up there in Maine. It's a great idea for travel. The Marlins affiliate now, I believe, is in what are they? They have like the shrimp, the jumbo shrimp, like the Jacksonville shrimp or something like that. Didn't know we were going to be talking about that, but yeah, let's see if producer Steve can throw that on the screen. I think it's like the Jacksonville shrimp. Let's give that a shot. It's Bobby Gomes. Bobby, fresh off an all-night bender, celebrating the Boston Celtics championship. What's up, Bobby? How are things in your world? It's okay. This is a safe space. I know you're not thrilled with last night's happenings, but, it's a new day. How are things?
I'm in a safe space right now, Dean, in my house, as far away from the street as possible, as far away from the festivities as possible, and ready to break down some baseball. Kirkwood was out there streaking around down Causeway Street, and, I'm just staying in my house.
Was he out? I didn't check his Twitter, but is he too old to do that? I feel like he's going to be too old. He might be too. I know he threatens to streak all the time. I feel like he might be. Look, I'm not here to say he can't do it. I'm not the arbiter of fun. That's Tim, I suppose. But at a certain point, like maybe leave the streaking to the 20-year-olds. I know he is Kid Yahoo.
I think he'll do it one day. I'm going to tell this to one of my security guard buddies at Fenway to hype up the voltage on their tasers. Get them really good.
There's the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, by the way. I wasn't making that up. Isn't that amazing? Look at that. They have such great nicknames in minor league baseball. So much better than the majors. The Athletics, the Metropolitans, those are good nicknames. Those are terrible. They've just been around forever. Of course they're athletic. They're professional athletes. So that was assumed. But is somebody doing landscaping in the background? Do you guys hear that? What is that noise? Or is that just on my end? Maybe it's on mine. I will figure it out.
Could be my kid screaming from the other room. That's possible.
I don't know what's going on. I'm hearing like landscaping.
Yeah, what is that?
Maybe it's actually
what is that?
Okay.
I'm hearing it too.
Yeah, Steve is telling me. Now you hear it. The power of suggestion.
I know it's not me.
I don't hear anything.
I think it's Tim.
I think it's Tim.
It really is not me.
Let's see. Chat, tell us if you hear it. Producer Steve's saying it's Tim, by the way, for the record. He's
I don't know how that's possible.
Is somebody using like a float?
It has to be Tim. You're like in Maine. You're the only one that you're in Maine. It has to be Tim.
I think it's got away. I feel like it's got away. Several people in chat have acknowledged that they hear that noise as well. Yeah, I'm not sure if I mentioned.
What are you
going on
doing,
Alvarez
Jim?
from
What are
Houston.
you doing?
I'm not doing anything.
Jim?
And I don't think my neighbor's doing anything either.
Let's shout out to.
It might
ahead,
be
Bobby.
Dean. It might be Dean.
No.
He's blaming Tim. He's got everyone
I would
blaming
never.
Tim.
No, I'm very accountable. I try to be accountable in life. Speaking of accountability, shout out to Eric S in chat, who called two Kyle Schwarber homers yesterday. He banged in a couple. It was heating up for Philly. Unfortunately, Philly not on this main slate. Speaking.
You know who also called 2 Kyle Schwarber home runs last week on the show, and I got no praise afterwards on Twitter from either of you? Myself.
I don't.
You know,
was I on the show?
To throw that out there. You were on the show. Yeah. Well, you might have been kicked off, but
I think I was kicked off. I think I was kicked off. Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Tim's fault. Tim's gonna shout you out. And Tim's got a big presence on Twitter. He's always tweeting.
I really do.
It's like, Tim, we don't need to see at lunch and dinner. Just pick one. Congratulations to you on picking those 2 Schwarber homers out. Do you want to say what's up to chat? County that like button, do subscribe, turn on those notifications, do all those things to help us keep the lights on. Also, since we're doing shout outs, let's continue. Do you want to shout out last Tuesday's winner for Tournament Tuesday? That was Dwactor. Remember we said you had to play one player that starts with D, one player that starts with B, one player that starts with T or D. Well, for our names. And the tournament, go ahead. It was dropped in the live stream chat channel. We're running that back today. Different concept though. In celebration of the Boston Celtics championship, just roster one player from Boston. You got to roster at least one player for the Boston Red Sox to qualify. It's a free contest. If you win that contest, you get a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. If you win that contest while wearing the RotoGrinders badge, as did Dwactor, you get 2 weeks of RotoGrinders Premium. Not just baseball, but all the sports: football, baseball, basketball, hockey, WNBA, golf, MMA. I may have missed something. Everything with the exception of NASCAR. And again, jump on that the Discord, RotoGrinders.com's Discord channel. The live stream chat channel is where it's at. I think it's limited to 40 or so. But go ahead and jump in there. And if you win, you better have at least one Boston Red Sox Carolina to qualify. I think Devin has produced. He posted those rules. All right. 10 gamer today. We do have to keep an eye as far as Minnesota. We have straight orange. I'm giving them a refresh right now. Roth sometimes will update around now, will update at some point, but orange for Minnesota for Pablo Lopez today. One of the more popular pitchers, and we have 20 arms, I guess 40, but 20 that really are important that are throwing the baseballs. It's sparse, man. The pitchers are not spectacular. Lopez, one of the better ones. Even him, he's been kind of off this year. The highest K rate amongst everybody throwing baseballs today is Pablo Lopez at 26%. This is on the main slate for DK, for FanDuel, Yahoo. Always has to be different. They start at 610, so they're including the 4 earlier Games. Tanner Houck at 24%. One of the most popular pitchers is going to be Framber Valdez, who's not been spectacular, and that K rate is rough, 18.6%. But of course, the ground ball rate is great. The matchup is great. All that to be said, Bobby, what are you seeing as far as screenshot of this slate and Dodgers earned cores? Of course, we'll talk about tiers later on. Bobby, you have some hot takes when it comes to Game of Thrones later on for the people. I'm sure that'll stir the chat up, but that's when it comes to stacks, comes to offense. But just your overview. What are we looking at here, Bobby?
Pretty awful pitching slate. Like there's no one you feel really great about, I would say. And then it's pretty much spending up for bats everywhere. Obviously, we have the Dodgers and Coors. We have the Yankees. We have the Giants and Cubs in a win game. I think all these. What are you, Dean? Yeah. No, I was just pretty much. I just looked at the YouTube chat and I seen you putting your hand on the screen. And I was like, what's he doing?
I was trying to white balance because my camera is getting all funky on me for some reason. I'm not really sure what's going on, but
I think you're the one with the technical difficulties here, Dean. I think you're the one with the technical difficulties. If I had to put my money on it, I don't
think it's a correlation of like visual and noise. I'm not sure, but
might be that new computer that I advised you to buy.
Well, did you did you
so
tank me on it intentionally? Is this like you get me back for top shots?
I might have got you back for top. It would have been a good move if that was the case, for sure.
I got some Celtics top shots, by the way.
Lord knows
They're
you got
hot.
me
You're
with
just
top
inside in.
shots, I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so a lot of good
bats.
Paying down at pitcher a little bit. I think Alec Marsh is going to be pretty popular. Spending up at pitcher would definitely differentiate your builds. That's pretty much the slate from how I'm kind of looking at it currently.
All right, Tim, jump in here. What are you looking at here? You make one main lineup. I assume that's the deal today. For me, a lot of the pitching is uncomfortable. If you look at the ownership stuff, and things are going to shuffle around, obviously. No Yordan Alvarez certainly matters. Morel matters, being out for Chicago. And I tend to avoid, pitchers in Wrigley win games, but the Chicago lineup's not great. Webb's pretty good, and he's a ground ball guy. So no matter how windy it is, if he keeps the ball on the ground, it's you can't hit a home run if the ball doesn't go above like 12 feet. What are you looking at here, Tim? Give me your screenshot, the overview.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to be able to pitch Pablo Lopez. It's not looking like that will be the case, but I'm not sure yet. I'm sure Roth will update his weather report on that. If I can't pitch him, I really like Bobby's call on Alec Marsh, 7.6K against Oakland. I think that's pretty solid. He's going to be popular, but I don't mind eating that chalk. I really like Logan Webb today quite a bit. I mean, elite ground ball pitcher. Cubs lineup's a little bit watered down. I know it's a wind game, but if he's really going to be 6%, 5% owned on DraftKings at 9.7, I really like him for GPPs. Valdez, I mean, he's fine. I don't know. Like, not the best strikeout stuff. I know the White Sox are horrible. It's definitely okay, I would think, for cash games. I'm just worried that he's going to be a little bit overowned for tournaments. I prefer pivoting to Webb over Valdez in GPPs. I also don't mind Walker Buehler at 7.3K. Just because I know you hate Walker Buehler. I know that we always talk about this every time he's on the
terrible.
Slate. And sometimes you're right and sometimes I'm right, but it's just that now it's just the price. He doesn't really have to be that good. So I don't mind him. I don't mind him in tournaments at all. Chris Bassett, I think, is also kind of interesting. I prefer picking on the Red Sox with lefties, but I think Bassett's okay at 8.5. So it's definitely I'm definitely looking at pitchers that are going to be. I don't want to eat a lot of chalk in pitching today, even in single entry.
I got a couple of goofy ones that we'll discuss.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your goofy ones, because there are quite a bit of goofy ones you really could play on the slate.
And I don't think we have this monster opportunity cost, especially if we lose Lopez. I don't know if we're gonna lose Lopez. We'll see what Ross says. He does have the highest K rate, currently the biggest projection as far as ownership right now, which is a little bit surprising, but I kind of get it at 34% in the season. I mean, for this slate, this stuff will change. This is as of 425, so we'll get a new batch soon enough. Framber at 27% doesn't feel like spectacular chalk, but it feels pretty comfortable. I don't like using that word, or safe, right? Peter in chat says they're talking about they feel the pressure is chalk and they can't handle it. Does somebody get in Pablo Lopez's ear or Framber Valdez's ear? Just so you know, you're like 34% owned on DK tonight. Is that something they feel? I don't think that's a thing, but that's I
don't think they'd even understand that. They wouldn't even get it.
Well, that means I'm good. I don't know. That means I'm popular. Marsh is not really sneaky. He's currently at 26%. Throwing baseballs against the Athletics, good ballpark as well. Nasty Nestor, I still like to pick on Baltimore. He's getting some ownership. He's one of the better pitchers. Houck has been really good, and this Toronto team's bad, and it got worse. Bichette hit the IL, and I guess it's a downgrade. I don't know who's in there for him. I know he's been bad this year, but it's got to be somebody worse, right? I think Springer's out of the lineup too. I'll pull up that Toronto. Just the price, I suppose, is the issue with Houck. Just seems a little bit too pricey
And
for my liking.
it's still a very low K lineup for Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah, not a lot of power, but not a lot of strikeouts either.
I think it's a good run prevention spot for Houck, but not a good K spot for him.
I just want to run off these names.
4.5, and he's 10-7. Just a heads
right.
up.
Like I can't imagine rostering that.
It's got to be like minus 160 on the over, right? I haven't seen the number, but I'm just guessing. It's got to be heavily juiced over.
Yeah, I would. I seen it earlier, but let me pull it up.
I'm not staring at it, but it's got to be. Well, it's got to be at least like minus 130 if it's 4.5. But Spencer Horwitz, listen to these names: Davis, Schneider. They don't sound like real people. You didn't know these guys are Vladdy, sure, Varsho, Turner, Addison Barger, Alejandro Kirk, IKF, and then Ernie Clement. It's horrendous. It's just terrible stuff there for Toronto. What do you got?
So yeah, we're spending 10-3 for him or whatever, but
yeah,
like just in the context of this slate, like having him in your pool if you're playing 150, I don't think is the worst move. Just because, like you talked about, Toronto is absolutely terrible. Yeah, they don't strike out, but the pitching options aren't fantastic. So, like, I don't hate it.
Cam is telling me in chat I'm being told to put some respect on Ernie Clement's name. That he's been good this year. I mean, he's got a 250 WOBA and a 143 ISO versus righties. Our definitions of good are different. He's 1.4% of the time. Great eye, Ernie. He doesn't strike out though. He doesn't strike out. He will pop out. He will ground out. 8% strikeout. So that is the annoying thing. And to your guys' point, 17.9% strikeouts collectively for Toronto. So it's a really contact-heavy lineup, but it's also a really bad lineup. It's all about the BABIP, I suppose. Man, we got to roster 2 of these guys. It's pretty ugly, boys. Tim, are you settled on your 2? Do you have a pool of like, I'm going to play 2 of these 5? Where are we at?
Yeah, I still got to wait on Roth about the weather with Lopez because I would like to play Lopez, but not sure yet. Basically, it's probably Lopez, Bassett, Marsh, Webb, and then I would consider Walker Buehler. I would consider Tobias Myers and maybe Spencer Schwellenbach, maybe. But really for me, it's I'm definitely playing Alec Marsh. I know that.
Okay. Yeah. And you don't care. I mean, Alec Marsh chalk is fine. You're okay with that. That's okay.
I'm okay with Alec Marsh chalk.
Yeah. John says he hasn't seen a Wrigley win game payoff since Ryan Sandberg, who played in the 80s. I mean, there was like 14 runs last night and like, I don't know, at least 3 homers, I think. Every fly ball is not going to go with a fence. It's just when we say it gets like a 30 or 40% boost in homers, right? And I should not just pull that number out of the booty, but give the actual number on Weather Edge, and we're looking at 31 game sample, Bobby, and that's plenty of games for you, right? That's a good enough sample size for you, 31 games.
It works. I just think Webb is a ground ball pitcher traditionally. We're getting this watered down Chicago lineup. Like, I'm all over Webb. I liked him earlier in the day. I got to bump my exposure on Webb. I think he's a really good play. Justin Steele in the past has been a ground ball pitcher. I just prefer like San Francisco bats over Chicago Cubs bats tonight. Steele, I guess you can make a case for in 150. I probably wouldn't play him in single entry or 3 max. He's not someone I'm really considering, though, too much. If he makes it in my pool, he makes it. I'm definitely going to be overweight on Webb. I don't care about the win currently.
Yeah. Well, I was making the point that, and I'm good to get your thoughts, but I was trying to make the point that, like, even if in a 30 game sample, we're seeing homers spike at 72%, which is jumping off the table. It's 89 degrees. Winds blowing out 17 miles per hour to left center, 26% bump and runs. That doesn't mean you're going to get like 19 homers. Like, you can't expect that, but it's easier to home runs there when the wind is blowing out. That's like, it's scientifically documented, but also don't assume you're like always, here goes 6 homers over the fence. And the other point that you're making is that, and I touched on before with Webb, is like, well, if he keeps the ball on the ground, doesn't matter how fast, the wind's blowing out, because, you got to elevate the ball. Yeah, you mentioned one of them, Tim, as far as the goofy guys is Tobias Myers, righty against the Angels, and he's cheap. And that's enough, right? Is that, do you need more information?
Not really. I mean, his last 2 games, he's been fantastic. Great matchup, great price. I mean, I think he's completely viable in GPPs. I don't think I'm going to double pay down though. So since I'm playing Marsh, I'm probably not going to play Myers. But you could certainly pivot from Marsh to Myers, I think, in certain builds.
You got a thought on Tobias Myers there, Bobby? Is he somebody that's in your pool? What are you running today? Sometimes you're doing like 8 lineups, 20. Sometimes you're doing 150. Have you figured it out just yet?
150, running 150. Myers will be in my pool. I will say, Griffin Canning on the other side, he's been terrible, but he's 5'5". And although I prefer the Brewers side, like I'll definitely have Brewers bats, I do think you can make a case for Canning, just at that price tag and into the context of the slate to play some Canning in larger field stuff. I prefer Myers, obviously, though. You play
Griffin Canning. He's been the worst pitcher on the slate when you're looking at Sierra so far in the season, 15% Ks. You could argue that he's been slighted when it comes to the strikeouts because his swinging strike rate is almost 10%. So that doesn't really line up. Swinging strike rate's like a little bit less. It's usually like if it's swinging strike rate's to 10%, your K rate's going to be about 22%, give or take. So okay, maybe. And the other guy, I'm doing this one on the fly. I wasn't really thinking about it, but now that we might lose Lopez and now we lost Yordan Alvarez, how bonkers is Jonathan Cannon against this Astros lineup, whatever's left of it? Is that absurd?
I was considering Cannon as well, so I'm fine. I didn't really love Houston as much as projections liked Houston today. Now you take Alvarez out, and we're going to be spread out at pitching in terms of exposure, so I don't mind Cannon.
Is that absurd to do, Tim? Am I getting too cute thinking about playing Cannon? Just the nature of the slate.
I think that's completely fine, but you besmirch me on Bueller, yet you'll play Cannon. So
well, I do have
some issue with that. So
do you want to do a fun bet, Cannon versus Bueller for some funsies, for some what do they bet on the morning grind? What does Stevie always like to bet? M&Ms,
jelly beans. Yeah.
And that's not actually jelly. That's money, right? I think that's money, if I'm not mistaken. It's a code.
Yeah. Whatever, Dean. Get a hold of me in Slack. The bet is on. Bet is on, Dean.
First to score 10 might win, or first to actually has positive points might be the winner. Cannon's got a pretty good K rate so far, right? We've seen 23% Ks. The walks have been great in 4.9%. And
he's a prospect too, right?
I think so. I think he's a bit of a prospect, yeah. But it's always with the White Sox. I don't know if a White Sox prospect might be elevated just because somebody, you have to have a top 10, right? And the 8th best prospect on Chicago is not as good as the 8th best prospect on Baltimore, right? So, but I think he was somewhat heralded.
The K rate for Houston would be the thing that would make me nervous about Cannon, right? They don't strike out at all. Yeah.
Bobby, are you playing any Lorenzen?
I was thinking about it because I liked Texas Stacks, but now Adolis Garcia is out of lineup, and I don't like Texas Stacks as much, and the Mets have been red hot. The interesting scenario here is if we get Cortez and Savali removed from the pool, saying they're rained out, Framber is going to get a ton of chalk. When I looked at this slate in the morning, I immediately wanted to just X Framber Valdez. I would imagine that that's where the ownership goes. So if you're trying to spread it out, you could get to Lorenzen and these other guys. I just don't know what to do in that scenario. Do we just completely X Framber, and then do guys like Lorenzen and Lorenzen won't become more popular. Like, I guess you can play him. I just don't think they're going to be in line for the win. The Mets have been spectacular. On the other side, Severino is the one that would have the ceiling, I would imagine. Like, he's the one no one's talked about all day. Do we play some Severino? And that's what I'm trying. Am I getting to more Severino now? Severino would be the guy I'd want to get to, I think.
6 lefties. Is that what I'm counting? Seager, Smith, Lau, Jankowski. Heim is back from a child, and Tavares. Yeah.
We worry about lefties with Severino.
Yeah. I mean, I think his K rate is, I have to pull it up, but I'm pretty sure his K rate's like really, really small against lefties. I didn't realize that Dallas was out of the lineup. Let's see. What is his K rate? It's 16% versus lefties this season, which is not ideal. I believe it was lower.
If you're throwing 6 at him too. So.
And it's a really contact-heavy Texas lineup.
Pitching 18%. On the slate's really tough.
I'm not playing Severino. The long and the short of it. I'm just not playing Severino. Not enough strikeout options. Too many lefties. You have a take on Severino, Tim?
Yeah, I have no interest in Severino in any format. I'd probably X him out even in a 150. I don't think he has the ceiling in this matchup.
Okay, I'm out on Severino too. I'm out on Severino too. So going back to Lorenzen, what are your thoughts on Lorenzen, Tim? Because I liked him earlier in the day, and now I'm totally confused. His K rate's not that high either.
No, I know. Honestly, I would get maybe like a very, 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 very small pinch. He is not somebody that I would even consider playing in a 20 max or a 3 max. So maybe in a 150, I put him in like 5. That not really a guy that I think you have to win a GPP. So for me, I would honestly be out on Lorenzen and Severino.
So we have 20 pitchers, 20 starters. Lorenzen has the 16th highest K rate on the slate and the highest walk rate on the slate. I don't see it.
Yeah,
I don't know why. It seems unnecessary to play Lorenzen for me. Why do you want to play him, Bobby? Just because you're looking for something that's cheap, that's playable theoretically?
He's been better since he left Cincinnati, right? That was pretty much it. And in the context of the slate with pitching being atrocious, I guess, I don't know. Those two pitchers were, I don't know, just trying to think through them if they were even viable, especially if Valdez becomes chalky, like where are the other pivots, I guess, if you think that Minnesota game gets rained out.
Shout out to Winky in the chat, who did an awesome job with his write-ups that you'd see on Underdog. I would have to see him on Underdog because he blocked me for some reason. I don't know why I was blocked.
Wow.
I don't know what I did, Winky.
Winky's calling you out, Winky.
Getting blocked for no reason, Dean. Getting blocked for no reason. Huh.
But I'm sorry. Maybe
Winky's my guy. Fantastic write-ups, Winky, all year.
Very good. He does a very, very good job. And I'm glad that I get to see him on Underdog. I do enjoy his basketball write-ups. And Kirkwood says he's blocked too. Kirkwood probably earned it, whatever he did.
Kirkwood definitely earned it. He definitely earned it. I've been thinking, I'm not a big block guy, but I've been thinking these last couple days.
You're thinking about blocking Kirkwood?
Thinking it's crossed my mind a couple times.
Yeah, I didn't mean to make a thing, but I was I thought about it. Why? I was confused. I'm like, what happened here? What did I do? In any event, they are spectacular. I look forward to, hopefully they continue going forward next season. All right. Have we decided anything here? Do we like anybody? Who's left standing? Because it's a big old mess as far as pitchers. Cortez, one of the better ones, I suppose. I just don't want to pick on Baltimore. Baltimore's so good. I don't know what is left that we like, and I guess do we want Lopez if he plays? If we get the all clear, or at least good enough from Roth? It's a tough because there's layers to that, right? But Bobby, would you be big on Lopez if he they start the game, or we at least think he's going to play?
I'd be in on Lopez, but just because of the nature of the slate, I don't think I'd be 2Xing him or anything, just maybe slightly above the field or around the field. Don't really have a great take there. I know I like Webb a good bit. I like Marsh a good bit. Cortez has Baltimore kills lefties, so
Sure.
I don't know how much. I might just completely X that. It's tough. Then I'd be going down to the bottom, to Myers, to Cannon, to Canning, to Schwellenbacher versus Detroit. Good pitching weather in Detroit. I could see myself being 2X on Schwellenbacher. I mean,
Well,
in
it's
Atlanta.
in Atlanta.
Good pitching weather
Wait.
in Atlanta. Sorry.
Is it really? It's a good pitching weather in Atlanta? It's not hot there?
I think so. I'm looking at tells me it's pretty good for pitching in Atlanta currently.
Yeah. For some reason, Weather Edge does not capture
Doesn't
Atlanta.
pick it up, yeah. So I have to go to
87
another
degrees is what I'm seeing.
It's
Wind blowing
87.
in.
Yeah,
Wind
that's
blowing
not,
in.
It's not bad for Atlanta.
And it's not bad for the slate, right? Like the
Right.
weather's great everywhere. That's what I think brings Chris Bassett more into play, is that he's pitching in a dome, and then I don't want to play Bassett versus the Red Sox, who've been super hot as well. But I think he's definitely in the pool now just because he's at home and he's in a dome, right?
So this is the other thing. Similar to I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. I was just going to expand on the Bassett thing. Similar to Severino, lefties, right? This season, Bassett has a 13% walk rate to lefties and a 16% strikeout rate to lefties. A 375 WOBA. It's not good. So how many lefties are we seeing for Boston? Duran, Valdez, Devers, Yoshida, McGuire. He's terrible, but he'll stand in the left in the box. And Dom Smith. You're not getting Bobby Dahlbeck either, right on right. It's a few too many lefties for me. It's sort of my issue. I think he's fine what is his ceiling against this Boston team that's, he doesn't strike out lefties and he's going to walk too many. If you ever watch him pitch, he kind of labors out there. Like he uses all the might in the world that they're like 92-mile-an-hour fastballs. I don't know. He's kind of crafty at this point. He's got guile. He's one of those pitchers now. But
I can't stand him. So I was definitely going to be overweight the Red Sox, but I'm just trying to think of like pitchers that we can play that are actually viable. I think Houck's ownership, now the more I think about it, would be something that I'd want to get over on. Even at 10
for him.
Yeah,
maybe an overpay of Houck. We currently have him at 10%, because he's just a little bit too expensive. But like we said, the matchup is pretty good. Tim, you have an official take as far as who were we just talking about? Bassett.
Yeah, I mean he's number 2 projected on the bat right now, which is pretty surprising. I don't really like him. I'm not going to roster him. I don't think I'd roster him in a 1 to 3 setting, but I mean, I think there's just too many lefties, like you said, and I don't trust it. So
Twins
I'm out
postponed,
on
according to chat. Sorry, Tim. Yeah. Is that official?
So,
our chatters are usually pretty reliable. I think that just happened.
I haven't seen it.
Wait, or no? Oh, geez. You know what? Slim Scully got me. If you can't trust Slim Scully, or maybe he's just ahead of Twitter. He's just calling his shot there in chat. But yeah, all right. According to let's see,
is that a rapper?
I don't know. I think you're thinking of Slim Shady.
Slim Shady.
I'm not aware of Slim Scully's work. I'm sure it's spectacular. He's saying it's official. He's doubling down on it. So
wow,
maybe it just has not quite hit Twitter. And do you guys see it anywhere? I don't see it anywhere. It certainly is possible.
I don't see it anywhere. It'd be tough to get past my notifications. Just saying.
So I know Roth has touted in the past. We always talked about Washington being terrible. Apparently Minnesota is like the sharpest team when it comes to like weather. So maybe they know just to get out early. Maybe that's what's happening. But several people are saying in chat they see it. If you see it, please just post it in chat if you don't mind, or direct us where we can see it. Would be useful for the conversation, but I don't see it just yet. I have not received the FanDuel notification according to King Mana.
Yeah,
you'll probably get that tomorrow.
I don't know if that means anything.
Yesterday's game was postponed.
Kurt talking about streaking at the parade? Is this going down?
Is that happening? Would you accompany him if that?
No, not a chance. Not a chance. I'll let him go. I'll root him on though, for sure.
Is the parade going to go by your
house.
place?
Hopefully
you
not.
Go see it, Bobby?
It could. Hopefully not, though.
She'll be dropping like water balloons on it or something.
Yeah,
crab
apples. Throw some crab apples at the trolleys.
All right. Well, still nothing as far as Minnesota. If nothing else, Roth is going to be on again in about 35 minutes or so. By the way, I do want to mention, you see it scrolling in chats. Get yourself a week free of RG Premium. You see the screen that the producer Steve is showing off, the lineup HQ. You have access to that. The optimizer, the projections, the articles, all the bells, all the whistles, every single sport. You can get yourself a week free just by winning the free contest that's currently in the live stream chat channel over in the Discord. And the one rule is you have to play in honor of Bobby Gomes and Kirkwood, big Celtics fans. You got to play one player for the Boston Red Sox. I presume it's going to be a lefty, but maybe, Devers is pretty good. He's just pricey. All right. Somebody's talking about the RG socks. I know some of the owed socks. That's not my department, but hopefully they come out to you soon enough. Do you guys have the RG socks?
I wore the socks to the gym the other day.
Yeah, they're great. They're good. It's a great sock. It really is.
Well, singular? you wear both of them, right?
You can wear one. You can wear the pair. It doesn't matter.
You can wear it Red Hot Chili Peppers style, the way Kirkwood might be wearing it in the Boston Parade. Let's get the summary. Bobby, what are you looking at? What have we learned here as far as pitchers? We've talked about a bunch of pitchers. I don't really know if we love anything.
No. We're just talking in circles pretty much at this point. No, I'm joking. Framber Valdez is going to be immediately the chalkiest pitcher on the slate, and I want to X that. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I don't want to play that.
You don't want to play
the book says you're supposed to exit. Like the book.
Framber, yeah.
Bad.
Like I can just
I wouldn't mind
now.
it.
Man, I don't know. It feels like, especially if we lose Lopez, he's going to be like 40, 45% or something goofy like that. They're asking about Falter in chat. That is on a slate that we're not discussing, unfortunately. I think that's on the Yahoo slate. Yeah, it's not. Bailey Falter is throwing.
Kirk's the Yahoo guy.
Yeah, he's in chat. He'll help you out.
Yeah, he'll help you out.
Lodolo versus Falter. I believe it's also really hot in Pittsburgh as well. Win is stretched.
Scratched, he meant to say.
Okay. Is that for St. Louis?
Yes.
Okay.
Is St. Louis on the slate?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Bobby, you're supposed to at least know who's on the slate.
I know the players, Tim. I know the players.
Okay.
All right. Tim, can you give me a summary as far as pitchers? I feel like we're talking it out, and I don't know if we love anything, but we got to roster a couple of these. Otherwise, DK will they won't accept our lineups. FanDuel, you got to roster one. Yeah. Help. What do we got? What are we down to as far as
I do have a question though. Did Roth mention a tornado earlier in Minnesota?
I don't think so. Is that new?
Yeah. So there's a tornado watch in place, and there's a line of storm coming right around first pitch. He
updated his article.
Yeah. And it's still orange, but it sounds more ominous now. So I don't know. But if for whatever reason we can play that game, we're going to be playing Lopez in cash games. I would play him in single entry also. If that game's not really that safe, I'm gonna fade Valdez. I'm gonna play Alec Marsh. I might be looking at a guy like Schwellenbach, like Walker Buehler, like Logan Webb. I'm definitely looking to get off of some ownership because I don't really like Bassett. I don't really like Cortez. I don't really like Valdez, and I don't really like Houck. So I might just be going down a little bit or paying up for Webb. If Webb's really not going to be popular at all, I don't mind playing Logan Webb today.
I'm not privy to Ross' scale, and I will stay in my lane. I know this is his expert, but you'd think they would get downgraded if you add a tornado warning.
I would have thought that.
Orange to orange. Here's a tornado.
Right.
Yeah. Look, this is not my field of expertise. I didn't go to school for 10 years for that, but we'll see what Roth has to say. But that does make it feel a little bit dicier, as you're suggesting. And I went ahead and dropped that in chat if you want to read what Roth has to say as far as weather. That's it as far as pitchers. We're going to talk stacks in a second. Chat, this is what we want you to think about. Bobby Gomes. Bobby Gomes, avid Game of Thrones fan, big fan of George R. Martin. He's read all the books for sure. He power ranked his favorite characters from Game of Thrones. You tell us in chat who your favorite characters are. There's going to be some slander for sure. He did it TJ style, by the way. I'm pretty sure, spoiler alert, it's just he did his favorite characters. It's hard to find.
You got to bend the knee to TJ style, Dean. Bend the knee. Bend the knee.
But as you're thinking about that, and as you're telling us in chat, I want you to listen to Will, Chief, from the prop shop. He's going to help you guys win some money in the prop streets.
What is going on, Grinders? It's Chief. It is Boom Fantasy, and folks, we've got something interesting to discuss today. First up on the docket, there is a promo on the board. We are going to use this promo. It is Logan Webb at 3.5 strikeouts. Folks, we want more than that projection. Yes, I understand it's a discount, but we want to use that to our advantage. Next up on the docket, we've got Tristan McKenzie at 5 strikeouts facing the Seattle Mariners. Folks, the Seattle Mariners have been one of the prolific strikeout offenses this season. I mean, strikeouts galore at 5 strikeouts. Yes, McKenzie might get knocked around a bit, but I think he's able to clear that 5 number. Also, instead of our traditional pick'em, we're going with the pick and spin variety. Folks, you spin the wheel, you can get up to a 500x return on your investment. Use the promo code Grinders, head over to Boom Fantasy, and get in the game. I'll see you back here later on.
All right, shout out to Will, Boom Fantasy. Check out those promos he's firing off for the people. Do also hang out with him in the prop shop. That is another free Discord channel. You do not need an RG paid membership, just an RG account, a standard account. I do see a lot of suggestions here in chat, Bobby. We're going to reveal your board in just a second. Jon Snow being thrown out there. Braun,
the one I wanted to put one win first. The one I wanted to put one win first. That I didn't.
Which,
put
by the way, I didn't want to do this to you on air, but like you showed us the list, right? We can pull this. We can pull the list up, and you have the person in 5th. You go to us. You said, like, yeah, that's my favorite character. I'm like, Bobby, do you understand the game? Do you understand what we're doing here? You're supposed to put the best one in number 1, and you put the best one according to you in 5. What's going on? I'm confused. Can you explain
Because I feel like I got killed by the chat. I feel like I would have got killed by the chat.
They're going to kill you either way. Like, they're never going to be happy with your list.
I didn't think of everyone else.
It's your list.
I didn't think of everyone else's perspectives. Dean, I'm a man of the people. I just can't do what I want. That's what a king does.
And give
That's what
your
a
list.
does, Dean. Bend the knee, Dean. Bend the knee.
And that's funny because I think the person we'll have the board popping up here in a second, but I believe you had some shuffling around, and I think I even mentioned, I go, wow, how is this character not in there? And all of a sudden they popped in. I don't need you to put it. You don't have to appease me. It's your board, Bobby. But explain your board. I think you got number 1 correct for the record.
Of course, because you're a big Tyrion Lannister stan. I get it. Tyrion's great. Like he should be. He's a great character. He's actually a fantastic character. So he'd go 1. Littlefinger, also elite, like just maneuvering the board throughout the show. He's great. Arya Stark, Dean made me put on. She wouldn't be my 3rd. Like she's awesome. But like, I don't know. I liked her story, but like her acting, I don't know. Jamie Lannister had a good character arc. Yeah, he had the best character arc in the show, so I had to throw him on there. Braun is my favorite character on the show. The back and forth between him and Tyrion, I think, is elite. So he went 5th because I didn't think I could put him 1 because I'd probably get killed. But
you could put him 1. It's okay. I put Michael Jordan 5 the other day. I put him in like the garbage category. It's fine. Tim, what's your thoughts as far as this board? Anything you change? Are you no Mother of Dragons? Some slander there as well. I thought you might get some consideration. But what's your thoughts as far as this board, Tim?
I think this is a pretty solid list. I would still put Braun 1 or 2. Definitely not 5.
You like Braun that much too? No, I love Braun. Like I just didn't know if that would go over well. And then the chat, he was the first one people named too. So I don't know. Maybe I made a mistake.
Other than
how did you not put the Hound? There's no Hound with Chris Bassett pitching tonight. That was a mistake.
Take him or leave him, Dean. Daenerys might be the worst character, along with Jon Snow. Like they're just too awful. They
just
weren't
thinking of
good.
the end. I think it's
They
what's
just had
I think
very
it's recency
easy-
bias.
Yeah, there might be recency bias. Like I just didn't love the storylines. You could throw Bran in there too. Like, I didn't like him either. And who I hated was Jon Snow's like mother that hates him. Like I could. Oh my god, she was awful.
I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head, but
couldn't
right.
have made the list if you're forgetting her name, right?
Well, it's to be fair, like the names from this world are just so difficult. Mr. Irrelevant saying no spoilers for GOT. I feel like the statute. If you haven't watched the
the statute of limitations is way over for that, dude. Like, come
on. Yeah, most evil characters on Game of Thrones. That's a good suggestion by Michael. That's another tough board.
My first list had Joffrey at the top, just because I wanted to tell Dean to bend the knee. Dean, bend the knee.
Joffrey was a great character.
Yeah, he's such a good actor, that kid. That you hated him, but he was unbelievable. You know,
is he doing anything these days? I don't even know what he's up to these days.
He's going to be one of those people that has a hard time getting a job because everyone's just going to refer to him as Joffrey for the rest of his life.
He's the next Gary Coleman or something. All right. Anything else here, Tim, as far as this board? Hodor did not make the board. Just throwing out some names that the chat is suggesting. I wouldn't have put Jon Snow either. I see there's some Jon Snow love. Cersei, the best worst character. That's probably a good.
She's a good one. She could have been on there. She was considered for Arya Stark, and then Dean made me put Arya Stark in.
Ned Stark, not enough sample size for Ned Stark. No spoilers, but not enough sample size.
he was too good. He was too good, you know. You have a dark side.
Anything else there, Tim, that we should say, or shall we get to the stacks?
Yeah, I think we should talk some baseball, Dean.
All right. The chat was enjoying it. All right. Very first game that we're going to talk about is Baltimore and the Yankees. Since Bobby did the ranking, he has he's going to bat first. Baltimore versus the Yankees. Two of the better offenses in baseball, of course. Just a 9 total. That's Albert Suarez taking on Nestor Cortez. A person named Ben Rice is playing baseball for the Yankees tonight. Does not have a salary, just throwing it out there, but he is playing baseball tonight for the Yankees. Bobby, where do you have the Yankees and the Orioles?
Well, the Yankees for me are going to go on Tyrion Lannister. Aaron Judge grades out really well. Fly ball, he's facing a fly ball pitcher. It's a really good spot for him. Juan Soto, Giancarlo Stanton, Alex Verdugo, like all the Yankees, really can't go wrong. I think they're a great full stack. Baltimore would be Arya Stark for me. I don't know if I'm going to play Nestor Cortez just because how good this Baltimore team is versus left-handed pitching. Guys that I like, Westberg, Rushman. You can always play Henderson left on left, Santander, Ryan Mountcastle. I think he's a lefty masher. We'll have to ask Carty. Same with James McCann. So I like all these Baltimore guys too, but they're mainly minis for me currently.
You mentioned Carty. Carty will be on crunch time in about 25 minutes or so, give or take. Kevin Roth as well with the weather update. You get Keith Eyster in addition to all the happenings there on crunch time coming up in about 25 minutes or so. I like this comment in chat from MD. It says, "Do your jobs and talk sports, dorks." Like, stop talking about the dorkiest thing ever, Game of Thrones, and talk about baseball, which is just as dorky, I guess. In any event, Tim, any issues here with the board here for Bobby?
I would bring the Yankees down to Littlefinger. That's the only thing that I would do, just because they are so far below the Dodgers. So I can't put them number 1.
I will not bend the knee, and I will stick with Bobby in this one.
Let's go, Dean! Let's go, Dean!
Yeah,
finally.
This is rigged.
Do not bend the knee to Tim. Do not bend the knee.
I'll tell you the one thing that does hurt the Yankee stack is like this Ben Rice character you can't roster. They lost Rizzo. Rizzo's out for a month or so. He was barely even there. Like he was there, but not really. He was he was a black hole in that lineup essentially. But I assume that's the guy they called up for him. In any event, let's move on. Tim, you are up next. Next up, this is me bouncing back and forth. Boston and Toronto. Blue Jays versus Boston. We've talked about Chris Bassett is vulnerability to lefties, not the best lefties collectively, but there is Rafael Devers over there. Double dong yesterday for Tyler O'Neill. Tanner Houck, one of the better pitchers on the bump against a terrible Toronto lineup today. 7.5 total. Where do we have Boston and Toronto, Tim?
So producer Steve put them exactly where I was going to go. Arya Stark for the Red Sox, Jamie Lannister for Toronto. Not a whole lot of interest in either one of these teams, except for maybe like some mini stacks of the Boston lefties. This Toronto lineup is pretty rough. I mean, they're not a strong lineup at all, but I think they're a little bit better than the bronze section. So I'm going to leave them in Jamie Lannister.
Bobby?
So I half agree with Tim. Actually, I don't. Toronto's going to Braun for me. I can't play Toronto. The Sox would be Arya Stark. Like, I feel like that's where you should play them. But the first team that really stuck out for me were these Boston lefties. People are going to try to make Bassett a thing. I tried to make Bassett a thing. I just don't think you really can. Like, I'm going to the Sox and Littlefinger. I'm gonna do it. I like the Sox. I like them as a full stack. Devers, Duran, all the lefties they got there. So I'm gonna go to Littlefinger. Dean's gonna go against me, but he's gonna be wrong.
I think it's gonna be a split decision. Let's move Toronto down the Braun, and we'll keep Boston where they're at with Arya Stark.
Okay.
But I hear all arguments. The Toronto looks pretty atrocious to me. I think Boston's playable, but I'm not falling over myself to play them. But I do think they're worth a look, especially if you're the bigger tournaments. Devers, I'm not sure how popular he's going to be. I think he's an awesome tournament play. Let's move on. Detroit, Atlanta, 9 total. War Eagle, Casey Mize taking on Spencer Schwellenbach. Atlanta, minus 164 favorite here, Bobby. This is your board. Detroit, the Tigers taking on the Braves.
Yeah, Detroit's going to be in Jamie Lannister for me. They have a couple good bats that grade out all right. It's just the wind's blowing in. I didn't hate Detroit. Like, I don't mind Riley Green. A couple good bats. Wencel Perez, I think, is good. Colt Keith. Like, I don't mind some one-offs from Detroit. Atlanta for me is a little bit difficult. I'll go Arya Stark with Atlanta. Usually Atlanta's a team that we see higher than that, but I don't know. It's just wind blowing in. I don't know how much I love this order without Acuna and all these other guys, but they're still the Braves, right? I think Matt Olson's one of the strongest plays in the slate, but I'm gonna go Arya Stark for Atlanta.
Lowest K rate on the slate is Casey Mize. So Atlanta's going to be putting the ball in play for sure. We have the Braves in the middle with Arya and Jamie Lannister with Detroit. Tim, we good with this, or are we going to dispute? He's disputing you, so you got to get him back. He's saying you're wrong.
So we know when he bumps it up, we know where Dean's going here.
I'm not trying to lead the witness or anything.
I like Atlanta and Littlefinger for me. Because
Tim just wanted to win.
Mize is just so bad strikeout wise. So I think Atlanta's Littlefinger. No problem with Detroit and Jamie Lannister. But honestly, I could put them in Braun because I'm really considering playing Schwellenbach if we lose Lopez. So I'll put Atlanta and Littlefinger and leave Detroit in Jamie Lannister.
I do agree with Tim. I think Atlanta should get bumped up Littlefinger. Want to pick on Casey Mize. And yes, there's no Acuna, there's no Harris. That's an issue, but there's still some pop here. Albies, he absolutely shellacked the baseball last night over the chop house down the right field line. Azuna's been smashing baseballs all season long. Olsen has been unlucky and still putting up pretty good numbers. Darno's in there, so you don't have to deal with Sean Murphy, who's been a disaster since coming back. And there's some cheap stuff too. Kelnick, if you're playing cash games today, Kelnick is probably somebody you're strongly considering leading off there. Forrest Wall, no bat, but he's got legs. Forrest can run. That's what he can do. No surprise there. What do you got, Bobby?
I'm going to circle the wagons just so I'm not wrong and just agree with you guys that they should be in Littlefinger because I just don't want to be wrong. But
they scored 2 runs. Yeah, that was yesterday. The producer Steve's telling us they scored 2 runs. Yeah, that was today's a new slate. It's a new game. we'll talk about Tampa Bay and Minnesota. We'll touch on it, right? 8.5 total, Savali versus Pablo Lopez. There is a pending tornado watch. But do the best you can with this, Tim. Rays, Twins.
I mean, I have no interest in the Rays at all. I'd put them right into Braun. And then I think, I don't know, Minnesota, maybe a little bit of interest. I would maybe Aria would be the place that I'd put them. Middle of the road stack. But really, they're kind of, I don't know, they're kind of expensive. Like Royce Lewis at 6'2". I mean, that's really pricey. Correa's 4'6". But I think it's an okay spot. So I think they're pretty much average. So Aria is a good place for them.
By the way, I was just kind of looking to see the schedule for Tampa and Minnesota. They are scheduled to play tomorrow at 7:40, and they have getaway day on Thursday. That just, to me, suggests
that sounds like a PPD.
It sounds like they're going to play 2 tomorrow. But who knows? Yeah. You never really know how stuff goes. But if they're kind of teetering back and forth, very easily they can play 2 games tomorrow. And like Roth said, like the only real option would be to either postpone it or to wait for the entire line to clear, which could be a pretty long wait, 3 hours. He's speculating. I don't think this game plays, but that's just me taking all the information in. Doesn't seem like it's going to play. We should know. Well, we'll see. We'll see if we know. They might just, delay it and maybe they postpone it at 10 o'clock at night, but I don't think they would do that, but we'll see. Roth will speak on that later. Anything you want to add to that, Bobby? It's just, what can you do? What can we say as far as that game at this point?
I would just bump Tampa Bay up to Jamie Lannister because I think Brandon Lau, some of these other I also want to just make Dean agree with me, and I know he's just salivating over projections all day. And I know that Brandon Lau is someone that is viable as a one-off. I think you could also throw in some Arozarena, some Paredes, so just one-offs. But yeah, Jamie Lannister for Tampa and Arya Stark is fine for Minnesota. Correa, Lewis, Buxton's been playing pretty well, so I think they're fine as a mini.
Yeah, I mean, Tim called Royce Lewis expensive, but he gives you a home run every single day. The dude's amazing.
One's not enough. One's not enough at 6.2.
What if it's a grand slam?
Okay. You got me
and
there.
He walked in another bat.
There. Yeah.
Yeah, we can move Tampa up. And I do like a couple, and if you want to do the old leverage angle, I suppose. But again, I don't think the game's going to play. Working back for a second, Riley Green is my favorite hitter in Detroit.
I said that. That's why I put.
But I wanted to say on FanDuel, he's like 3K. He's like an awesome play on FanDuel. All right.
Thanks for the projection update for FanDuel.
This is not based on projections. Like I'm a little bit more in the Dave Potts world as far as like hitter projections and the Carty hitter projections. Like I'm more of like a team. Projecting home runs is. Of course, some guys have better chances than others, but everybody's got a chance of getting 0, and everybody's got a chance of getting 30. That's just how it goes. Sam Fran, Chicago, 9.5 is a total. Logan Webb, Justin Steele. This is for you, Bobby. High total for these pitchers, Steele and Webb, because the wind is really blowing in Wrigley today. I want to go ahead and get the update on Weather Edge, but last I saw, it's like 72% bump in homers historically in a 31-game sample. Winds blowing out to left center at 17 miles per hour. It's got the fire emoji, 89 degrees. Where do you have the Giants and the Cubs offenses?
So I'll go with the Cubs first. I think a lot of people are going to expect me to put them higher on the list, but I'm going to put them at Arya Stark just because, like Logan Webb, I think there's some viable one-offs. They ran out a pretty disgusting lineup. Christopher Morel not making it. It's egregious, especially with the wind. He's their best fly ball hitter. Logan Webb's a ground ball pitcher, so it would have made sense to just play Morel, and maybe they get higher on the list for me in that scenario. San Fran's going to be in Tyrion Lannister. I just think San Fran's a really, really good team to play tonight. Very good spot. I guess you could make the case for Littlefinger, but I'm going to go Tyrion Lannister, like Chapman, like Soler, like Ramos, like Wilmer Flores, Yastrzemski. I think all these guys are in play. I have to go in a Kirk Casale's pitch mix, but he stinks, so probably just going to waste some time doing so. Yeah, that's where I get them.
You got San Fran all the way at the top, just to be clear. Is that what I'm seeing? Was that a mistake?
San Fran at the top. Yeah, I'm going San Fran at the top.
Okay. Producer Steve adding some gifts, having a good time. Tim, what say you? Sam Fran and Tyrion Lannister and the Cubbies in the middle with Arya.
Yeah, if I had any guts at all, I'd put the Cubs in Braun, but I'll leave the Cubs. I'll put the Cubs in Jamie Lannister. And then the Giants, I don't mind Bobby's calling them. I'm a little bit worried about pinch hit stuff with them, so I can't put them all the way at the top. And I also, Justin Steele's not a horrible pitcher, so I'm going to bring them all the way down to Arya Stark.
Oh, you should have went
Austin
Littlefinger.
Slater's. Go ahead.
No, I said he should. I thought he would have went Littlefinger, but kind of agree with Tim. You can go, Dean. Break the ties.
Yeah, I was thinking about. Tim was talking about pinch hit risk, and Slater is like the most vulnerable when a righty comes in. Brett Wisely is on that bench, right? Conforto is on that bench. A couple lefties just hanging out there. Those are the two big ones, right? Trying to see who else did not make the lineup. I'm doing this on the fly, but I'm pretty sure that's the two most likely pinch hitters. But Flores is in there, right? Yeah, Flores is really, really cheap on DK. He might be somebody you can play for cash games, to be honest. And both FanDuel and DraftKings are playing cash games tonight. Is he somebody you're considering, Tim? Have you figured out your cash game yet?
I haven't. I want to hear what Roth has to say.
In regards to the weather in Chicago? Or Minnesota you're talking about? That changes things?
Minnesota. Changes a lot.
I got to break the tie. Yeah, Giants will go. We'll put them in Littlefinger, and we'll keep the Cubs. I believe somebody moved the Cubs down to Lannister. Once Webb gets out of that game, I think the Cubs should be in Arya, like Bobby. Bobby, you had him in Arya, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So, we'll put San Fran and Littlefinger and the Cubs with Arya. Tim, we got 5 more games, about 10, 15 minutes until crunch time shows up. You get Derek Carty. You get Keith Eyster. You get Kevin Roth. Next game on the docket for us is the Mets. They're 6-game win streak now with ever since the Grimace incidents, ever since he threw out the first pitch there for the Mets. They are hot. Luis Severino taking on Michael Lorenzen, 8.5 total. Tim, what do you got?
Yeah, I think both of these teams, I don't want to take the pitchers against them, but I don't really like the offenses either. So I think I'm going to go Rangers in Arya Stark, and then I'm going to go, I guess Mets and Arya Stark too. These teams are just so middle of the road, in my opinion. So I don't really have a hot take on either one. Lorenzen and Severino are decent pitchers. They're not great. They're too expensive for the slate. So, but they're not horrible. So I think both these teams are Arya Stark.
Producer Steve has the Mets. He doesn't want to move him out of Tyrion, but there you go. Steve, are you buying the old Grimace narrative? Are you in on it? Are the Mets back? Are we buyers now at the All-Star break?
So back. Season's back on.
Until they lose tonight.
They got to have a Grimace bobblehead night, right? That's got to be in the works.
We have Grimace jerseys. Our City Connect jerseys are purple.
Who's Grimace? The McDonald's character?
Yeah.
We got to do endorsers, like cartoon endorser power ranked. The Noid number 1. Is he still? Are we still avoiding him? Is he still doing his thing? Is the Noid still around in commercials? Don't we watch commercials these days?
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what the Noid is? Is that
no.
No, the Noid made a comeback. You got to avoid. You've been avoiding the Noid your whole life.
I guess.
Maybe producer Steve can show us the Noid. That's today's poll question. Did you know who the Noid is? Tim, you know who the Noid is.
No clue what you're talking about.
What? He made a comeback. They brought him back. You don't know this guy?
Never seen him before in my life.
He was huge in the 90s, but he made a comeback.
I don't eat Domino's. So.
Wow, that doesn't look familiar at all.
You don't do you know this guy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What game are we on? Houston and the White Sox.
You didn't get my take on Texas and in the New York Mets.
Bobby,
I agree with
Texas Mets.
I agree with Tim. So we'll save some time.
Well, it's a good thing you halted the show.
Just felt like
right,
I had to do it. Felt like I had to do it.
You're correct. Houston, Spuds McKenzie's a good one too. Houston and the White Sox, I'm afraid to ask. 8.5 is the total. Minnesota. Chicago is a plus 150 dog here. Bobby, this is your board. Astros, no Yordan Alvarez. White Sox, no good players. Facing Chalky, Framber, Valdez.
So I'm gonna go White Sox. Oof, can't believe I'm gonna do this. If I had any cojones, as they say,
Do you not?
I would put the White Sox in Littlefinger, but I'm just gonna put them in Arya Stark. I think they're a great leverage stack off of Framber, who I would imagine is gonna get very chalky once we get this news that Minnesota game's postponed. In Houston, with Yordan being out of the lineup, I could go Jamie Lannister. I'll leave them in the middle too. I'm not going to take any stands. That's it. The Arya Stark for both.
What was the Varys? Was he the Game of Thrones characters? He did not have any cojones. Wasn't that to keep on the theme of the show?
It's Varys. You
Yeah.
kind of bear a little resemblance to Varys, Dean. Maybe we should have got him on this list.
What are you suggesting?
Whatever you were suggesting about me 3 minutes ago or 2 minutes
I wasn't suggesting anything. But you said if you had, you
have no
did
cojones.
you said if I did, I would do this, but then I'm going to do that. So there's an implication. Yeah, metaphorically, of course. What do you got here, Tim? Help us out here. Do we agree with Bobby, or are we moving on?
No, I would put the White Sox down to where am I here? Down to Jamie Lannister. They would be in Braun, but you get some leverage with them. So Jamie Lannister for Chicago, and then I'm fine with Houston in Arya Stark.
I am going to agree with Tim. But the chat, a couple things here from the chat. First of all, Shannon saying nothing but fence riding today. Everyone in the middle. You guys are a bunch of fence riders. Look how crowded Arya Stark is. It's all in the middle. Yeah, and then they're just throwing out like different spokespeople. Max Headroom got a shout out there in the chat.
Back in Tyrion Lannister.
All right. 5 minutes, give or take, until we get crunch time coming on. I do want some taters. Hit that like button. You got to get enough likes to get Tim's taters. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Do all those things to help us keep the lights on here. We have 3 games left. It's a lightning round, kind of, sort of, somewhat. It's the Dodgers and Colorado, 11 total. Dodgers have a team total above 6, the only team on the board with a total above 6. My apologies. I think it's Tim's board. Is that correct? Tim, you're up.
I have no idea. What game
can
we
you handle
have?
it?
Dodgers, Colorado.
Yes,
Dodgers easy. Right. Tyrion Lannister, and then Rockies are easy. Gonna put them in Braun.
Oh, really? How much do you love Walker Buehler today? That's a bold statement, sir.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. That's okay. What say you, Bobby?
I disagree with the Rockies. I think, like every other team on this list, they should be in our but yeah. The Dodgers are by far the best stack on the slate. So Tyrion Lannister makes sense. Teoscar Hernandez.
The Rockies are like too expensive. Is your thing. Like they shouldn't. Nolan Jones shouldn't be a 5K player. I know historically, or he's got the projected bat for that. Just some of these guys like Tovar's over 5K. Blackman's not great anymore these days, but like he's leading off, but he's like 4.8. But I guess they're not going to be owned either. I suppose you want to make that argument. McMahon, the best Rocky, far as I can tell, but you got to pay for him. Let's move on. Let's put Colorado in. I'm going to break the tie, and I'm going to agree with Bobby. So we got to put Colorado in Arya, and the Dodgers stay in.
Bend the knee, Dean. Bend the knee.
Never. All right. Milwaukee and the Angels. No Milwaukee lineup just yet, unless I missed it. Tobias Myers, Griffin Canning, 8.5 total here, Bobby. Milwaukee is a minus 140 favorite. Myers, probably the better pitcher these days than Griffin Canning. Canning has been pretty horrendous this season. Where do you have the Brewers and the Angels?
Milwaukee, I'll go Littlefinger. Really like Christian Yelich today. I think he's a fantastic play. Like Terang as well. Reese Hoskins. I think the Brewers are pretty strong lineup tonight. And then for the Angels, I'll go Jamie Lannister. Like, I think they have some bats that are okay. Adele, Ohape. But I don't love them. So Jamie Lannister works.
The chat is telling me that Charlie Blackmon has BBP, but like he hasn't been good since 7 years. Well, not 7 years. It's been a rough couple of years. So even if the BBP was real, 18 for 50 against Bueller, that's a lot of at bats. But he kind of stinks now. He's got a couple homers, triple, some doubles. Good for him. But
the way you talk about him though is like he's like the worst. He's like he's Abreu pretty much, right? Like he's not Abreu yet. So like.
There's a lot of wiggle room between Jose Abreu and I hear you. Maybe am I wrong? Am I besmirching incorrectly?
I don't think you're wrong.
The ISO is kind of gone.
I don't think you're wrong. I just think that he's better than the way you're like. I don't know. He's obviously on the downside of his career for sure.
Yeah, the beard's still pretty sweet. You don't get any points for that though. Tim, any issues here at Milwaukee and the Angels?
No, I think it's a good call by Bobby to put the Brewers in Littlefinger. I love the lefties for Milwaukee. And then, have no issue with the Angels in Jamie Lannister. No
Milwaukee lineup just yet. I wish Terang was a little bit cheaper. We are projecting him to start. Yelich looks like an awesome play right now, too. He's another guy you got to pay for, but love the Yelich here against Canning. Seems like a fabulous play this evening. Last one. Let's knock it out. Kansas City, Oakland. Alec Marsh taking on Hogan Harris. Tim, what you going to do when Hogan Harris runs wild on these Royals? Where are we putting the Athletics and the Royals?
The A's definitely in Braun. So that's a pretty easy one. KC, it's like, huge ballpark downgrade. I know Hogan Harris isn't good, but I got to go middle of the road and Arya Stark with the Royals.
One more team in there?
Yep, one more team in there. I'm not crazy about them, but I think a lot of people will forget about them. So I think they're decent for GPPs.
Bobby?
As much as it pains me, I have to agree with Tim.
Speaking of Bobby Witt is not going to get played, right? Just as a side thought, just not going to get played.
He'll get played on my games, but
yeah,
I don't think I'm going to have many full 5-mans of KC.
All right, you guys see on the scroll. Go ahead and jump into the Discord contest. I'm not sure if that's filled up just yet, but spots are limited. RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Jump in the live stream chat channel. You can get access to all the bells, all the whistles, all the sports, everything with the exception of NASCAR for 1 week free. If you take down our contest that we're running, it's a free contest, DraftKings contest. One rule is you have to play one Boston Red Sox in honor of Bobby Gomes, noted Celtic fan, in honor of Kirkwood, and just Boston in general. You got to play one Red Sox in your lineup. If you wear the RG badge, the RG avatar, you get 2 weeks free if you're rocking the badge. All right, Taters. Tim, what do you got for the people?
I'm gonna go Andy Pajas at he is plus, where did he go? Plus 340 at DraftKings and plus 350 on FanDuel. So I like him quite a bit. I like Will Smith at plus 375. But the rest of these Dodgers, they're so low. But I do like Will Smith and I do like Andy Pajas.
What's Chris Taylor getting that one up by chance? Because it shouldn't be any lower than like 8-1.
Let me see. Bad. I can't even find him.
He's off the board. Yeah. Last I checked, he's got I think a 9.
Okay. He's plus 550, Dean.
Yeah, and he's also a pinch hit risk too. But have I done the mush well enough for Chris Taylor to hit 2 home runs tonight? He'll double his season average. Yep. Bobby, what do you have as far as some homers for the people?
I'm gonna go Rafael Devers.
Like that.
He's plus 380 on DK. like him, and I'm gonna go Jordan Westberg for the Orioles. I think he's also plus 380 on DK.
Bobby, biggest stand
Plus
tonight?
350.
What is your biggest stand right now?
Probably
For or against?
definitely going to be way over.
mostly out.
Definitely going to be way over on Logan Webb. May fade Framber. Got to get this news from this game.
I'm refreshing ownership. I want to see if they got anything different. And of course, if we lose the Twins, that will certainly shuffle some stuff up. And Roth will be coming on momentarily. Give you guys a thought when it comes to weather-wise there. But let's see. The most recent ownership, this is interesting, actually. Marsh is now the highest projected ownership pitcher at 28% on DK. 24% for Valdez. Kind of a hedge right now with Lopez down to 20%. It's like, what are you going to do? You got to put a number on it. He was 30 before, but now there's weather, and now it might go down to 0. The game might go away, and there might be some people that are just afraid to play him. Bassett at 18, Cortez at 16, Houck at 13, Bueller at 12.
I got one more tater, Dean.
Go for it.
Bryce Terang plus 850 on DK, plus 830 on FanDuel.
I like
Does he
Terang.
have the ability inside the park home run? Does he have the ability to hit the ball over the fence? Can he do that?
He does. He does.
He's got a 108 ISO on the year versus righties, but all right, theoretically. He's got some speed, though. He definitely, if we're going to do a draft, I'm like, who's good? Let's draft the person most likely to hit inside the park home run. Terang, maybe? But yeah, I suppose.
He hit a home run in his last game, so he's hot, Dean.
That means he's no longer due, though. He's hit his quota for the month.
That is a good
You can
point.
look at it both ways.
Yeah.
What's your biggest stand tonight, Tim? Or are you still kind of figuring it out, and a lot of it's dependent upon Pablo Lopez?
As a one lineup person, I'm really dependent on Lopez, so I don't really have a take quite yet. I gotta wait.
Can you give me like your top 2 or 3 stacks, like all things considered? I know you're playing single entry. Do you know? I don't know if you want to give it away. Do you know what team like you're hoping to play as like your main stack? Are you leaning in on the Dodgers?
I'm going to be leaning into the Dodgers for sure. I think the Brewers are a great tournament play, and I also I like Atlanta quite a bit also.
All right, let's go ahead and bring in crunch time. We got Derek Carty, we have Keith Eyster, we got Kevin Roth. Crunch time. Here we go. What is up, boys? Roth, we had a question. We were discussing this. We were earlier in the day. You had Minnesota as orange, and then out of nowhere, a tornado warning. Here comes a tornado, and it's still orange. Are there different shades of orange? Did you consider making it orange red? Because the tornado kind of scares me a little bit.
It was a tornado watch, not a tornado warning.
Oh, my apologies. Tim told me it was a warning.
No, tornado warning means there's a tornado about to destroy you. A tornado watch means there's the potential for a tornado at some point.
And that's why Roth's a meteorologist, Dean, and not a weatherman.
10 years of school for that.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I learned. Yeah. No, I did, Dean, to be honest, I did think about going orange-red in my afternoon update, but if they don't postpone it soon, then they're probably going to try to play, right? That was kind of my thinking. It almost would have made more sense to go orange-red earlier because there was a likelihood if they postpone it, they do it early so that people aren't driving into a tornado watch.
So you think if they start trying to play it, they're just going to ride it out?
I don't know what their plan is. I don't think we should play it for what it's worth. I'll tell you that. I don't think they can easily get a full game in. I don't know how they plan on doing that.
So 2 questions, Roth, before we get out of here.
Yep.
One, I feel like you might have said this in passing before. Washington, as much as we loathe them, we respect Minnesota and they're smart when it comes to weather. Is that correct?
Correct.
So they're probably going to do the right thing.
Correct. Which I think would have been postponed now so that people don't drive out there in a tornado watch, but we'll see.
The other thing I wanted to point out, they play Thursday in the afternoon. They play tomorrow night at 7:00. It seems really easy to just play a doubleheader tomorrow.
I'm pretty sure the weather there is legendarily shitty for the next few days.
So much for that theory.
Yeah, I rarely look ahead, but I can do it real quick here.
Yeah, if it's going to be worse tomorrow, it's a whole.
No,
It's
not.
Days.
It's not. Tomorrow looks pretty good. It gets ugly later in the week, but tomorrow looks pretty good. So they could run a doubleheader tomorrow.
All right, let's step aside and get out of here and make way for crunch time. You guys have kind of a big boy slate. A lot of games going on. Anything else, Tim, Bobby? Anything else for the road?
I think we're good.
Good luck, guys.
Tim, are we celebrating the cup tonight? Is it going down finally?
I hope not.
Oh, geez, why you got to be such a hater? Go Panthers. That was Tim. That was Bobby. That was Dean. It's just crunch time.
Good stuff. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. Two of the sharpest minds in the biz helping to walk us through the slate. We got my guy Keith Eyster, a.k.a. the Iceman in the house. What up, Ice?
Not too much. Are you a little depressed today that your Mavs season is over?
That stupid win, the blowout, they gave me false hope. I actually thought they were going to win last night. And then when Pritchard hit that freaking that half court shot, I was like, all right, it's not our night. It's over. Yeah, that sucked. And that was the one game Dallas won was the only game I didn't watch. So I watched 4 games of absolute misery with no positive payout. Not great, Ice. Not great.
Sorry to hear it, man.
Yeah, we'll get him next year. We got my guy Carty in the house as well. What up, Carty?
Not much. How's it going?
We're okay. Weather-wise, I'm a little stressed. I need you to tell me how much do we care about and want this Minnesota game?
I mean, the best pitcher on the slate is in Minnesota. I have some strikeout overs on him today, so I want Minnesota. Specifically, I want Minnesota to not have a mid-game delay in an ideal scenario, but have something before the slate starts would be good too.
Yeah, I agree. That would be nice. We don't know anything as of now. They're getting close to the time. The game is a little more than an hour out or so, right? Hour and a half out or so. We're getting close to the time where if they were going to postpone it, they kind of need to get on that. I don't think you can play this. I don't think you should play pitchers there. I don't know if the game's going to play at all. I don't know if they're going to try to late start it and play at 10 or 11, like 10 p.m. I don't know if they're going to try to start on time. And if they do, I think that's very likely they get a middle of the game delay and a delay that could be game ending. It could be a game that just goes 4 or 5 innings and then that's that. So I don't think it's a safe play, and I don't think you should play players in Minnesota.
Well, at least you got a firm stance on it, so it's easy enough.
Yeah.
Easy enough for DFS just not play Pablo Lopez.
Yeah, I feel pretty strongly about it. It's just not safe. If you want to, roll it out in tournaments and you think he's the best dude and you're going to get lower ownership, I get all that. I don't think it's impossible that this game plays, or that maybe they get 6 innings before the Storms moves in, and then Pablo Lopez looks fine in that. Like Peter says in the chat, a 5-inning complete game shutout for Lopez. Like that kind of thing is totally possible, but I think you're asking for a lot and you kind of need to get lucky with it. I just think it's, what is this tweet from 16 minutes ago? I don't know. We'll have to see what that is. Anyways, so that's where I stand on that. There are no other weather concerns. And I think with that, we can just kind of dive into the slate. Eric says, Roth told us not play Skeens. That's false. Y'all were here, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I had 60% Skeens yesterday. You did not say do not play it.
Thank you. I said to play him. What is this tweet? I can't see it.
Yeah, Dean just posted a tweet from Rocco Baldelli, the manager of the Twins. He says, we play them 3 times here this year, so we're going to wait it out in one form or another, unless we deem there's no chance we're playing. So I don't know how much clarity that really gives us.
That's not great. I was really hoping they would just can it and say like, all right, we'll do 2 tomorrow. I still think there's even with them playing, which, okay, great. That removes the risk of them just saying, hey, we're not going to do it. I still think there's a pretty good, like a very good chance of a middle of the game delay. And it would be a 3-hour delay, if not game's over kind of delay. So I just think it's pretty dicey. So that's where I stand. I don't think it's the smart or safe play. I will give another update here. Yeah, Ross said, I think you still play Skeens. Maybe if you have 100%, play like 93% just in case, but you can still play. That's pretty much what I said. I think I said 98% instead of 100, but that's pretty much what I said. Anyways, that's what I've got weather-wise. I think it's a risky play all around. Pitchers, hitters, all of it. Cardi, tell me what we're doing here, pitchers.
Yeah, so Pablo Lopez would be the guy, but without Pablo Lopez on the slate, we kind of have it's a weird pitching slate. Like there's really nothing that good. There's a bunch of stuff that's very similar. Without Pablo Lopez, the guy on the slate that I like the most, I think, is Chris Bassett. He's got a long leash. Like he's a guy who can go out there and throw 110 pitches and you're not even a little bit surprised. Facing a Boston offense that is pretty strikeout heavy, taking a big park downgrade, reasonably enough priced. The other high-end guys are not in the best spots. Like Nestor Cortez is against the Orioles. Tanner Houck is the most expensive pitcher on the slate, and he's against the Blue Jays. Framber Valdez will probably pick up a good amount of ownership because he's against the White Sox, but he's a little on the expensive side. He's not a huge strikeout guy, and he is in the White Sox park instead of Houston, which is a pretty big downgrade. I like him, but I think for saving 800, I'd probably just take the discount on Bassett because I see them as very, very similar plays. The guy that's going to be chalky tonight is Alec Marsh. Because we don't really have that high-end pitching that we really like, people are going to play Alec Marsh. They're going to take the discount. He's 7.6K. He's going into Oakland to face the A's. So great park, best pitching weather, terrible offense, high strikeout offense. Marsh himself is nothing special, probably even a little bit overrated. But on a slate like this, I think he's a legitimate cash guy, like maybe the guy you play in cash on DraftKings at least, maybe even on FanDuel. So yeah, that's kind of like the main stuff today. And then after that, anything else you do is going to make you different. Anything else you do, I don't love, but because I don't love the high end either, there's a lot of stuff that you just can do. Like you can just spend up to be different today and play Logan Webb or Justin Steele or Nestor Cortez, even I think is a great spend up to be different guy today. And then you have the mid-range 7K-ish guys that are just do I really want to play Aaron Savale? Do I really want to play Walker Buehler in Coors? Do I want to play Schwellenbacher or Griffin Canning? You can. It'll make you different. None of them are great. But that's kind of what the pitching slate is today.
Okay, Ice, it seems like there's a lot of options and none of them are good. So what are you doing here at pitcher? Except for maybe the one guy. Yeah,
you nailed the analysis there. There are 20 pitchers on the slate and none of them feel good. The guy I feel best about is oddly Alec Marsh because of the matchup. He just had a really good game against the Yankees, which he's been pitching better here recently as the season has progressed. I don't love him as chalk, but there are no better options. I definitely do not want to play Framber Valdez chalk, and I think that's where all of the Pablo Lopez ownership is going. His strikeout rate is way down to 19% this season. The White Sox are not good, but I don't think Framber Valdez is all that good, at least this season anyway. There's been whispers of some type of injury there. A bunch of Houston's pitchers are hurt. He just hasn't been himself this year, so I will be fading Framber Valdez. I like spending up to be different, and I like just throwing darts at the lower 6K range as well. So Tanner Houck is a guy that I'll be well over the field on. He's been really solid this year. He gets a high contact Toronto lineup, but Bichette is on the IL. It's not a strong Toronto lineup by any means. So while he's overpriced, I do feel pretty good about his chances for success today. He's an above average K rate guy, around 25%. He's probably not worth the 10K price tag, but on this pitching slate, I think he is certainly very viable. Logan Webb is similarly overpriced. We have wind blowing out in Wrigley, but Webb is an elite ground ball guy, and the Cubs will strike out. So I think Webb has upside, maybe not as much upside as you would like for the price. But again, slate context, I think Logan Webb is totally fine. I will play some Justin Steele in the Wrigley win game as well. I just think he's a better pitcher than his price tag. It's been a rough season for him, but he dealt with a hamstring injury to open the season. He threw one of his starts in the rain. So he's just had some weird context around him. I think he's a better pitcher than his numbers show this season. I'm fine with the price tag there. The cheap guys that I'm throwing darts at, Spencer Schwellenbach, good matchup against Detroit, highly touted prospect that came straight from AA. He's got a couple of starts under his belt now, and they've all been against solid opponents. So this is his best matchup yet. He's fared okay in his first couple starts here. So I'm willing to roster a little bit of the unknown in Schwellenbach. I think Tobias Myers is very viable. You're not going to get a super long leash out of him. You're probably looking at 75 to 80 pitches, but the matchup is really good against the Angels. The Angels are good against lefties, but they're very poor against righties. So I like Tobias Myers a good amount today. I don't think Hogan Harris is crazy. That's more of a sprinkle in like a 20 max build. I definitely am not getting to him in single entry or 3 entry max.
Did have a lot of people bringing that name up. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You had another name, but
Hogan
a lot
Harris.
of people have mentioned Hogan Harris.
Yeah, I don't like picking on the Royals, and that's the reason that I'm not taking a massive stance on him. But the ballpark is great. So that like he feels safe just because of the ballpark, I feel like. I just don't know about the upside against Kansas City. Kansas City has been above average offense at this point. You have Bobby Witt and Sal Perez to deal with. I don't feel great about it, but I don't feel great about anything on the slate. So if you like Hogan Harris over Tobias Myers, by all means, load up on him. I think they're similar plays, and I don't really know which one is going to do better today. I just like the matchup for Myers a lot better. That's why I'm on that side of it. I think Jonathan Cannon is in play as well. Houston is the lowest strikeout offense in baseball, but they are down. Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez is out of the lineup today, who are their 2 best hitters. So a dart throw at Jonathan Cannon on this slate is not crazy either.
Okay.
The thing I'll say about Hogan Harris is that he's looked, quote unquote good in his like 3 starts that he's made. He has like a 2.5 ERA or something. It's very unlikely he's actually anywhere near this good. And the matchup against the Royals is probably not quite as good as people are going to think it is.
So the underlying metrics there are not impressive for him?
No. I was a little intrigued after his first start. He came up, his stuff plus was actually like a big jump from what it had been in the minors. And then his next 2, it's just been terrible. Like he's the same guy we thought he was. He's not good.
They are who we thought they were. We let him off the hook. Okay.
Myers is kind of interesting because he has the biggest variability in his leash of any pitcher on this slate. He could be pulled at 50 pitches and I wouldn't be surprised. And he could go 100 and I wouldn't be surprised. Like he just went like 102 like a couple days ago. But a lot of times he just gets pulled at like 65. Like we have no idea what they're going to do with him. But if you get the 100, 105 pitch day out of him on this slate, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. I feel like that was a solid breakdown there in pitchers. I did see one name. Oh, QQ from Eric Johnson. Where's the Gomber love? Ice, you got any Gomber love?
There is none of that.
Okay. Yeah.
He's facing the Dodgers in Coors, so no thank you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I get it now. Now I get the joke. I didn't get the joke at first.
But Eric is probably serious, as he typically is with his off-the-wall takes.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some of the bats and some of the stacks. And I assume the Gomber may come into play here, as I bet we're picking on him.
Yeah, you assume correctly. The Dodgers are very clearly the top stack on the slate. Ohtani is still extremely expensive, and he's lefty now, but still extremely worth it. Absolutely love the Dodgers. There's some cheap guys in there where you can make the elite guys work. Dodgers very clearly in a tier of their own today. The Yankees are close, but not quite there. Albert Suarez has been pretty good this season. The pitcher they're facing, he's been pretty lucky though. So the Yankees are a top 2 offense. If it's not the Dodgers as the best offense, I would say the Yankees are. Don't mind the matchup there against Albert Suarez. The next team I have on my list is the Brewers against Griffin Canning. He has just been a disaster this season. Strikeout rate is way down. Hard hits are way up. The Brewers have been a very good offense against right-handed pitching this season, top 5 in all of baseball by WRC Plus and WOBA. The Braves are in an interesting spot. Casey Mize' strikeouts are all the way down around 15%. Not the elite Braves offense we thought we were getting this season, but they're certainly playable against a low strikeout pitcher here. I had interest in the Astros until Yordan Alvarez was not in the lineup. I still think they're playable. They're at least cheaper now in a matchup against Cannon. But Cannon's actually been pretty solid this season. So the Astros fell down my list a little bit. The Rockies get Walker Buehler, who has not quite been himself since returning from the injury. The Rockies are never a fun team to roster. There just isn't a lot of talent in the lineup, but it is Coors Field, so they're certainly in play. And then I'm at the Wrigley game is interesting. The weather looks outstanding. Weather Edge absolutely loves it, but the pitchers are really good there. They're both ground ball guys. Steele hasn't been quite as ground ball heavy this year, so I do prefer the Giants over the Cubs. You do have to hit the ball in the air to take advantage of the wind is the biggest issue there. So I like Giants and Cubs. I don't love them today. I think you're on mute, Rob.
That's the first time that's happened to me all season. Damn it. I thought I was going to go all year without that. Don't hit me with that.
Wait for it.
Going to catch up to Dean at this rate.
All year. Come on. Damn it. All right. What are you doing, Carty, at Stacks?
Yeah, a little similar situation to Keith where like some of the teams I like this morning, like the Astros, like the Giants, they've rolled out lineups that are not as appealing as I was kind of hoping for. The Dodgers are obviously going to be the chalk, but you definitely don't have to play Dodgers on this slate. And I would think a lot of Dodgers lineups are going to look very similar. It's going to be like Dodgers, Alec Marsh, maybe another like 7 or 8K pitcher. It's they're fine. They're fine. My favorite stack on the slate is probably the Brewers. They're kind of a boomer bust stack, but they're facing a pitcher that gives up home runs. His stuff plus is way down this year, and they have a lot of power bats in the lineup. They're a little expensive, but I really like the matchup. I like the Brewers a lot. I'd say also the Rockies and Coors, Keith mentioned them. They're kind of too expensive tonight, and I think people are going to overlook them. But it's still Coors Field. Walker Buehler isn't quite Walker Buehler. I like the Rockies quite a bit, and I think you can definitely throw in the mix the Yankees, the Braves, probably a handful of others. Okay. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay. You had that moment where you're like, am I going to throw in a couple more teams? But no.
I was going to throw in something weird. You can do, like with Alec Marsh chalk, like you can do an Oakland stack and get the leverage, and they're cheap. Like you can do that. Yeah. You can do White Sox against Framber Valdez if that's where the Pablo ownership is going to go. Like I don't hate stacks like that.
Okay. And that is something that people in chat mentioned as well, was kind of that leverage play there. All right, let's go around the horn. We'll talk position by position. We'll give out some bombs. I'll give you another update on Twins weather. And before we do that, actually, Carty, do we need to know the Minnesota pitcher situation before lock, or do we just need to know before first pitch? Because I need to know if they're late starting or if they're going to try to play.
Is that an 8 o'clock start? 8 Eastern? What's the
7:40?
I mean, depending how your build looks, you could get away with doing some late swaps at first pitch. But if you know ahead of time, that's going to make things easier.
Okay, because I'm not going to know anything, but we'll see. They might announce they still might cancel the game. I mean, that's still in the air here before.
If you're going Framber, you have time. If you're going Chris Bassett as the pivot, then we would need to know by lock. That's really the difference.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and Bassett's kind of the guy I have more interest in anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Just curious. Let's go around the horn position by position. Carty, start me off with some catcher talk.
All right. So you mentioned we're going to be missing.
What's with that long ass pause?
Sorry, I was on mute for a second. I was trying to find the button.
I thought I was in mute. I was checking my.
Like I know I'm on mute. I'm not going to try to talk and pull it.
1.5. That's fair.
Yeah, so we're going to be picking on Gomber quite a bit. Will Smith is expensive. He's 5.8K, but he's also one of the best hitters in baseball, plays a crappy position, plays for the best team, has the platoon advantage. Like Will Smith is just really, really good today. Even on FanDuel, where you don't have to play a catcher, you can play a first baseman. Will Smith projects better than every first baseman on this slate. So like you can play Will Smith however you want. He is expensive though. So if you want to save some money, there are ways to do that. Even though Houston as a stack is less appealing with Alvarez out of the lineup, I still think both of their catchers are interesting. You have Yainer Diaz for 3.9. You have Victor Caratini for 2.9. They're in a good park. I'm not quite as sold on Cannon as Ice is. So those would kind of be my my preferences for pivots. At the high end, though, Will Smith is going to pick up the ownership, but Wilson Contreras, I really like in tournaments tonight.
Okay, very good. Ice, your thoughts? And I did get a question. Who are we pairing in cash? Marsh and who in DK cash? Carty, do either of you have a strong take? Sounds like everybody else kind of sucks.
I wouldn't say a strong take. Personally, I think I'm doing Bassett. I am doing Bassett, but if you wanted to play Framber, I wouldn't tell you no.
Okay. Ice, do you have a different take there?
Same take. I don't feel good about Framber. His matchup is better. I would say Boston's a little left-handed for my liking for Bassett, but they're so similar. I don't feel great about either one. Those are definitely the two names, though. It's Bassett or Framber.
Okay, great. How about catcher?
Yeah, Will Smith is clearly the top option here. I like the Royals guys quite a bit. Sal Perez as a tournament spend up to pivot away from Will Smith is outstanding. Adley Rutschman as well. In a tougher matchup against Cortez, but a really talented hitter. Freddie Fermin would be the cheap Royal if he can't quite get up to Perez. He's been solid against lefties, so certainly don't mind him. William Contreras is expensive as well. Should keep his ownership down. And I don't mind the Houston guys, Yainer Diaz and Victor Caratini.
Okay, first base.
Shohei Ohtani in Coors Field, of course, is where we need to start. Freddie Freeman as well for a little bit cheaper if you can't quite get up there, but probably just get up to Ohtani or play him in the outfield and play Freddie too is the best option of all. Wilmer Flores is cheap in the Wrigley Windy game. He got a third spot in the order today as well, so nice little lineup bump for him. I don't mind Michael Busch on the other side. Also has second base eligibility now. Rhys Hoskins against the low strikeouts of Cannings is quite appealing. Pete Alonso, you can always play for a home run. Love Ryan Mountcastle as a guy against Cortez. Has hit lefties really well in his career. And then Nate Lowe as a cheapie against Severino.
Okay, Carty, your thoughts at first?
Yeah, I mean, high end, I'm in complete agreement. Like, even though it's lefty, Ohtani and Freeman are both fantastic. On FanDuel, Will Smith is better than Freeman. I like Rhys Hoskins. Like I mentioned, really liking this Milwaukee stuff today. I think I might have said Wilson Contreras, a catcher. Obviously, I meant William. Wilson is injured; he's not playable. But I like Hoskins in the same spot. Canning's a guy you can take deep. It's a sneaky good power park. I really like this Milwaukee stuff. If I'm going a little bit cheaper, I will lean into the Wrigley win game a little bit. I don't like San Francisco as much as I liked them this morning, but you do have certified lefty masher Wilmer Flores in a Wrigley win game against a lefty for 3.4K. So as much as lefty mashers are not a real thing, I do actually like Wilmer Flores tonight. I think on FanDuel, Cody Bellinger on the other side is cheap enough where I would have a good amount of interest in him as well.
Okay, great. How about second base?
Altuve is the guy I like the most, less with Alvarez out of the lineup, but still a guy that if you have money, you can definitely spend up and play Altuve. You can spend up and play Marcus Semien or Ozzy Albies. Like they're all fine today. But saving money at second, I do think is probably the wiser thing to do, especially if you're trying to get up to, an Ohtani, you're trying to play, a pitcher that isn't Alec Marsh on this slate. You're trying to play two of the 8K guys or something like that. You're going to need cheaper options. David Bodie in the Wrigley game for 2-2 on DraftKings, I think is probably my favorite. Colt Keith for under 3K, I don't hate. Brandon Lau, it depends what you want to do about this Minnesota-Tampa Bay game. Like, if you think bats are a little bit less risky than the pitchers, like you can think about playing Brandon Lau. Like he's cheap enough. The spot's okay. He's hitting second, but personally, I think you probably don't do that. And second, I don't really like much today. I guess Brandon Drury in the Angels lineup, you can think about playing. He's probably the real punt. Like on FanDuel, he's 2-2. On DraftKings, he's not quite as cheap, but second base sucks today.
Okay. For what it's worth, I don't like bats in Minnesota either. I think if they play and if they start on time, there's a pretty good shot you're only getting, maybe 5 innings or call it a half a game. I think 9 innings, if they start on time, it's going to be tough to get done. Ice, your thoughts at second?
Yeah, I don't love the position either today. Altuve's fine. Like Carty said, the Houston lineup being a little bit weaker definitely hurts his upside a little bit, but still we're spending for because of the weak position. Terang in a Brewers stack is certainly fine. Has some stolen base upside as well. Love the matchup against Canning. Mentioned Bush at first base, can play him at second as well. I don't mind Emmanuel Valdez as a cheap guy, cheap lefty against Bassett, hitting second for Boston. Miguel Rojas is in Coors, but he's not a good hitter. He's up to 6th in the order, so I suppose he's playable, but only in a Dodgers stack for me. Ozzy Albies as a spend up to be different type of play. I like the Colt Keith call as a cheapie, and don't mind David Bodie either.
Tenkenstein says, Ice, do you think Terang is too expensive at second? I like him, but the price turns me off a little bit. Let's see. What is he? 4.7 on DK.
So people look at him and they don't see any power, so they think no upside. But you have to factor in the stolen base ability, and he has a ton of stolen base ability. He's hitting at the top of the order, and I'm totally with Carty on the Brewers are one of the top stacks of the day. So I think he's appropriately priced at 4,700. If people are scared off by the price, I'm all in.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Nice. How about third base, Ice?
Yeah, some decent options here. You have Ryan McMahon in Coors against Buehler. Mentioned Buehler's been a little bit down compared to prior seasons. Matt Chapman as a fly ball hitter in the win game is certainly viable. Kike Hernandez, another cheapie in Coors for the Dodgers. Bregman looks solid as well. His price is still deflated a little bit because of his really slow start to the season, but he's been better here recently. Rafael Devers is one of my favorite tournament options on the entire slate. Bassett is much more vulnerable to lefties, lower strikeouts and more power. So Devers lines up very well with Bassett's weaknesses. Austin Riley's starting to hit a little bit better finally. Love him in this matchup against the low strikeouts of Mize. Jordan Westberg is a guy that is probably a little overpriced for his true talent. He's been outstanding this year, but the price is going to keep people off him. Don't mind him with the platoon advantage against Cortez there. And then Joey Ortiz is cheap in the Brewers lineup.
Great. Carty, your thoughts at third?
Matt Chapman is the guy that I have the most interest in. He's obviously super boomer bust, but he's a power guy in this great wind spot. Like if he gets it in the air, it could just carry out. Especially on FanDuel. He's so cheap. DraftKings a little harder to get to, but not prohibitive by any means. Alex Bregman in the Houston lineup, also going to be a really good play, especially on FanDuel. His price is always too cheap. Outside of them, I don't love a whole lot of what we're seeing. Like Ryan McMahon, I definitely like as a one-off or in your Colorado stacks. If Bassett's going to pick up a little bit more ownership with Pablo out, like you can play Devers as a as a little bit of leverage kind of thing. But other than that, like punts aren't great. Like you can punt with Ezekiel Duran or Addison Barger for 2.1K, but really I kind of just want to get up to like Chapman or Bregman or a third baseman in my stack, Riley with the Braves or McMahon with the Colorado or whatever.
Gotcha. All right. How about shortstop?
Shortstop tonight, we do have like the usual high-end suspects like Bobby Witt and Corey Seager are obviously going to be great options. On FanDuel, Seager, you're getting a pretty good discount on, so Seager's maybe the guy. There's only a 200 difference on FanDuel between Seager and Willy Adames, who I love in this Milwaukee spot. On DraftKings, the price gap is bigger. It's 800, so I like Adames more on DraftKings. I like Seager more on FanDuel. I like Jeremy Pena hitting second for Houston tonight. Yordan Alvarez, caveats aside. We talked about Tobias Myers before. His leash is an unknown. His talent's a little unknown, but he's probably not very good. Zach Neto as a cheap way to save some money at this position, I don't hate. Paul DeYoung, if you're doing a little mini Chicago White Sox thing, You'll definitely get leverage off of Valdez. He hits cleanup. He's at home. It's a great park. He's got the platoon advantage. He's also Paul DeYoung. But I don't mind him either as a one-off or in a little mini White Sox stack. And I mentioned Ezekiel Duran at third. You can play him at short also on DraftKings where, if you have to get under 3K.
Okay, great. Ice, your thoughts at short?
Seager and Witt are definitely elite options. Witt ownership looks really good. I think he's a very interesting pivot away from expensive Dodgers today as a guy with massive upside. Facing a lefty, tough ballpark downgrade for him, but he can still do it with his legs as well, even if he can't hit a home run. Love the Adames call, one of my favorite plays as well. Dansby Swanson is cheap in the Cubs lineup. He's got a little bit of a ground ball lean, so upside could be capped if he can't get it in the air, but he's cheap enough. I'm willing to take some shots there. Lindor looks okay with a matchup against Lorenzen, who has low strikeouts. Another leverage cheap guy is Max Schumann, who's leading off for Oakland today against Marsh. Personally, I have way more Marsh than I'm trying to leverage against him, but that is an option for you.
All right, take me to the outfield, and then we'll do some home runs, and I'll give a weather update.
All right, Ohtani is certainly the top guy here. Teoscar Hernandez against the lefty in Coors is a fantastic spend up as well. Andy Pajes would be a cheaper Dodgers option, and Chris Taylor would be an even cheaper still Dodgers option. Let's see, Jared Kelenic is really cheap for the Braves. Jorge Soler in the win game against a lefty, also a lefty masher. Certainly love Soler. Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, of course, are fantastic options for the Yankees. Christian Yelich is one of my favorite spend ups on the entire slate against Canning. Duran is another Boston lefty that I don't mind trying to pick on Bassett a little bit. I like the Baltimore guys as well. Anthony Santander being a fantastic option. Cubs guys in the wind, Seiya Suzuki and Cody Bellinger. Let's see here. I think that's about enough.
Okay, Carty, you got some names for me?
Yeah, he mentioned Kelenic. On DraftKings, Kelenic's kind of my favorite outfielder on the slate, price considered. Obviously, Ohtani is fantastic, and in cash, you're going to try to find a way to get up there in your Dodger stacks, whatever. Dodgers aren't going to be sneaky. You do have Miguel Vargas, who's up now with Mookie Betts on the IL. He's in the lineup and only outfield eligible on DraftKings. So in addition to Ohtani, Pajes, Taylor, Vargas is definitely in that mix as well. I like some of the win game stuff, the Wrigley game stuff. I like Soler. I like, Keith mentioned Soler. I like Ramos in there on FanDuel. I like Bellinger on the other side of that game. Some of the cheaper Oakland stuff, like you can play Butler for 2K on DraftKings and get leverage against Marsh. Like you can definitely do that kind of thing. You have Jankowski for cheap tonight in a decent stolen base spot. You have Bretton Doyle, who's going to get no ownership, but who is been a pretty good hitter this year and is in Coors and either by himself or in that Rocky stack that I like. I like him. And Taylor Ward on FanDuel is way too cheap. Taylor Ward's fantastic tonight.
Okay. Guys, let's get out some home run picks here. And let's see. Carty, I'm going to let you start things off. What do you like?
Well, you may or may not have heard of a little player named Shohei Ohtani.
He's good.
Yeah,
is he 7K still?
He's 6.9K. So
6.9.
not. I mean that's almost a bargain.
That's a steal. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ohtani's great. I think your top home run guy on the slate is probably Aaron Judge. We didn't talk much about Yankees, but they're expensive. So like they're expensive and they're not as good as the Dodgers. So the Yankees could actually be kind of sneaky tonight. Like Judge will get some ownership, but as a whole, I kind of like the Yankees tonight. If we're looking for something a little bit more off the board, give me any of the Giants stuff. Give me Matt Chapman, give me Soler. I think their home run potential is fantastic tonight.
Okay. Ice, your thoughts?
I will go Christian Yelich. Love the matchup for him against Griffin Canning. And give me Ryan Mountcastle against Cortez.
Okay, very good. I want to give a quick update in Minnesota here. I stand by essentially what I said earlier, which is I don't think you should play pitchers, and I don't even really like the bats there. I will say that in tournaments, if you want to play pitchers and you just hope that they start on time and they get 5 or 6 innings in before storms arrive, I don't think that's insane. I think that could work out. It could also go horribly, and a pop-up storm, bones you in like the 3rd or 4th inning. But I don't think it's crazy. Rain probably gets there around 8 o'clock local time. So that gives you an hour and 20 minutes or so. And again, this is all fuzzy. But if you get an hour and a half, that's more than half, that's half a game, if not more than half a game. So I don't think it's crazy to play pitcher, but it's certainly not the safe thing. And I really would not do it in cash. But if you want to throw a few darts on that, I say go for it. And then bats I'm worried about, because if and when that line moves in, if they start on time, and if and when that line moves in, they might not finish the game. It could be a really, really long wait. And if they late started, I'm terrified they're going to just postpone it, because then they have to wait for this whole thing. So that's where I'm at with all of that. We'll go to Steve's question, which is, Carty, give me some Dodgers and Giants pinch hit risk, please.
Yeah, so as far as the Dodgers go, the entire back four, Vargas, Taylor, who are the other two, Rojas and Kike, they're all between 20 and 25%. There's they're all the same risk. So at least one or two of those guys is coming out tonight. Good luck picking who. It's just going to be situational. Whoever comes up in a spot where it makes more sense to pinch hit. So you'll definitely see some of that tonight. Giants, Austin Slater is always like the highest pinch hit risk of anybody on the slate in baseball ever. 63% tonight is very, very high. I think I saw someone ask about him in cash. Like, you just can't play a guy like that in cash that has a pinch hit risk that high. Nobody else is particularly you have to worry about. He's kind of the only one, really.
Okay. We should probably do a promo read so that I don't get fired. Hey, never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. You got all kinds of sports happening, and you have an option for whatever level you're looking for. 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price $469.99. That is a savings of $250 as opposed to 6 individual months of combo premium. And you can get your first month of RG Premium for $40 off for a limited time, which is a wonderful deal. If you want a test run, dip your toes in the water, 3-day pass is $19.99. Got the links in the description for more info. And just in case you missed it, RG Premium subscribers can now use the RG DraftKings Pick 6 browser extension on Firefox. And then you get our premium props and pick'em projections overlaid on the screen for you, so you can quickly and easily find the lines with the best value, make expert picks all in one place. Download it for Firefox today. Let's pick up some QQs. And jumping in the RG Discord here, scrolling up just a little bit. DK, GPP, Ice, Lofton, or Keith?
Give me Keith there. Colt Keith.
DK Cash, Carty, Ramos, or Pages?
I like them both, but I'll take Pajes. I think it's pronounced. I'll take him first. He's in course.
Okay. Crazy Coop says, Carty, Astros still a stack that you're liking in DK single entry. They've lost a couple big bats. Can you still stack them?
You still can. I don't like them as much, but they are cheap enough. The spot is fine. There's stacks I like more than them now that I didn't like more this morning, but they're still definitely in play.
Okay, we'll go to Sherman's Tanks, Ice, FanDuel, Cash, Punt. You went, I think that's my boy Pete Crow Armstrong and Drury to get to Ohtani, or should I just go Terang, Yelich, Slater?
I would be concerned about the Crow Armstrong pinch hit risk. Maybe Carty has a number for us on that, but he does get lifted fairly frequently. So I'd probably go with the Brewers there.
Okay. Carty, you got PCA's pinch hit risk for us?
It's low tonight. It only has him at about 8%. And it's worth considering that he is a left-hander, and the Giants bullpen tonight only has 2 left-handers to begin with. Eric Miller's pitched the last 2 days, so effectively only 1 lefty. So there's a chance he doesn't get pinch hit for tonight just because they're not going to have a matchup against him to make him do it.
Good stuff, guys. We've got less than 2 minutes until lock. D-Rock says DK, GPP, Ice, Vargas, or Kike?
Flip a coin. Very similar plays. same situation. I'll go Kike, I guess.
Okay, we'll go to Jay's question. FanDuel single entry. Carty, I'm playing a Yankee stack. You want Soto, McNeil, or Witt and Torres?
Give me Soto on my Yankee stack.
Okay. Carty, FanDuel cash, Pena, or Terang straight up?
What was the format in cash?
I think it was, FanDuel cash, Pena, or Terang straight up.
I mean, I like them both. I like them both tonight. It's probably Pena for me, but I do like Terang too.
Okay, less than a minute. Ice Enfanant in the YouTube chat says, hey, fellas, Canha in the utility spot for FanDuel in a GPP?
I'm going to be honest and tell you, I would not have been confident in saying whether or not Mark Canha was on a major league roster today.
But he is apparently. Is he playable is the question.
I mean, he's fine, I guess. He's yeah.
That's fine is good enough. Myers or Cannon, Ice? Myers or Cannon?
I prefer Myers there. I like that Carty mentioned potentially longer leash than expected. I think the strikeout matchup is quite a bit better as well.
Okay.
The one other thing that I'm noticing, when we talked about the Pete Crow Armstrong thing and the Giants bullpen situation, this Giants bullpen looks real. Like they've been used a lot the last couple days. We could see like the Logan Webb 110 pitch complete game tonight. Like that could be in play. So just keep that in mind when you're building your GBP rosters.
Okay. Ice, is Walker Buehler fixing to get channel caked? Is he fixing to get channel caked tonight?
Oh, this has become our new word, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's really good. It made me laugh again today. Is he getting channel caked?
Man, the Rockies are so bad. Walker Buehler might be bad now too, though. So I'm gonna lean. Yes, he does get channel caked.
Okay. It's just a good word, man. Funny word. Hey, we hit the lock. We got a couple questions. I'll see if they are still applicable here. Razzle Dazzle says it's short. Carty, DK Cash, Lindor, or Correa?
I think you go down to Pena. I don't really like that price range, but I guess it's Lindor.
Okay. And then the most important question. Oh, we got two important questions. Carty.
Or Adames, obviously. Adames I like more than,
Okay. First, Carty, who is the best bet odds-wise for a home run? And as you look that up, the question is your favorite flavored milkshake from, I don't even know where I saw. Oh, from Paul. Yeah. Ice, your favorite flavored milkshake. You're at a little, dine in and you get the best milkshake. What are you ordering?
Big fan of cookies and cream. I think it's hard to go wrong with that.
That's a damn good answer. Not where I was going, but a damn good answer. Carty, you can either lead us with the bet or the milkshake.
So the bets are really gross. There was some stuff earlier today that's just all gone now. There was some of the win game stuff that was looking good. No chance you're getting that anymore. Max Schumann, plus 1550 at MGM.
Oh, baby.
Home run. I mean, Schumann's not good, but he is leading off tonight. And that's about the nicest thing I can say about him. He projects for a 7% chance of hitting a home run, which at plus 1550 is reasonable expected value.
Okay, I like it. And then we'll close it out with your favorite milkshake flavor. You're at a dine-in, you're at a diner, and you get one milkshake. Where are you going?
I tend to mix them up, but my go-to I'd say is generally mint chocolate chip. But there's a lot of others I'll throw in the mix too.
Oh, that one came out.
I got to roll off the board.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for that. Man, none of us are going vanilla, which is wild because that's a classic.
No, definitely not vanilla.
I'm a strawberry. I'm a strawberry guy. I think
strawberry's great.
Mix are absolutely delicious. Hey, with that, we're gonna bounce on out of here. So for Ice, for Carty, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, I'm gonna update this Minnesota game before first pitch. So make sure you're tuning in on Twitter or X. We appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.